Hey, what is up? What's going on, guys? Joe here, Radio 690 ADV, 690ADV.com. Thanks for stopping in. Happy 4th of July. Appreciate everybody stopping in and listening to the podcast today. I'd like to give a shout out to my brother. It's actually his birthday today. He is one old dude. Just kidding. But it is his birthday, and I would like to wish him a happy birthday on my podcast, which he will never see because he doesn't do motorcycle stuff. Anyway, onto the podcast. Today, what we're going to talk about is getting your head straight when things are not going as according to plan. When you're on a moto trip or a moto adventure. Sometimes you have all the great intentions and all the perfect scenario and all the setup. You've got everything planned out from the time that you're going to try to get up to the time that you're going to break camp to the time that you're going to roll out to lunch to getting to the next camp and all these things that you're going to do. And somewhere in there, havoc happens. Somewhere in there, from maybe some of the routes that you picked got pretty difficult or something like that. So this is kind of a podcast to get your head straight in some of the things that I do when things are not going according to plan, and how to get that all put together. Anyway, don't forget, if you can leave a comment, leave a comment. Don't forget, we syndicate all of our podcasts to YouTube, and we are on all the different areas: iTunes, Google Podcasts, Spreaker, iHeartRadio, Spotify. You pick it. We're pretty much there. And you can listen in on our podcast. Don't forget, they are Sundays and they are on Thursdays. Today's Thursdays, 4th of July. Happy Independence Day podcast. Getting your head straight when things are not going right. I've been on many trips, and some of them go 100% according to plan, and they're perfect, and you don't have any issues, and everything works out exactly the way you want them to work out, and you're just having a blast. But there are those times, and it doesn't have to be a long trip. It can be a short trip where maybe something happened, maybe right before your trip or even during your trip, that you got heavy rain, maybe something got washed out, or maybe you were going down a canyon road or something like that, and there was some activity on that road, and maybe small landslides with lots of rock, sheer faces, drop-offs, all that type of stuff. So if you're new to dual sporting and you are truly trying to get off the beaten path, sometimes you will run yourself into the scenarios of you'll be going down a projected path that either you picked or a buddy picked, and it's not too intense, or it's not supposed to be too intense, and it ends up being pretty intense. So usually what we do is when we run up on scenarios like that, we like to stop, evaluate, and game plan to be smart about it. We don't just rush into stuff like that. If it's pretty flat and it's not too crazy and not too sheer, like there's not drop-offs on the road. Most of these roads that you go down do not have guardrails, and they can definitely get in your brain a little bit. It can kind of freak you out because everything gets kind of big and gets kind of crazy. So getting your head wrapped around that is really a big deal to make sure, for your safety, and making sure that you can get through what you're trying to get through. There are times that I've had to turn around. The whole group has had to turn around. It was just, for us, it was too much. It was too much for us as a group. Not saying, we could have tried to push through it. Most of these guys that we ride with, we have families, we have wives, we have kids, and we just try to be as smart as we can, but we also try to be as adventurous as we can too, but we don't want to put somebody in a scenario that somebody's going to end up in a hospital, or worst case scenario, end up somebody getting killed or really, really hurt bad. And it does happen, and you can't predict it. So you do the best you can to avoid it if you can, and be smart about it. So like I said, stop, scan, evaluate, and then proceed with caution or turn around. Those are really kind of your options, depending on the scenario and situations. So there's been many a time that we've went down roads and it's like a minefield, and just big gigantic rocks, boulders, things like that. And you start into it and you're like, okay, this is pretty rough, but we're gonna do it. But it doesn't seem to get better. It seems to get a little bit worse with each turn or switchback that you ride through. And it gets to a point to where you get to something that really catches your head and you stop. And if you can stop, sometimes you can't stop. You just have to push through it, good, bad, or indifferent, and until you are forced to stop. But if you can stop, it's always good to stop, get your head kind of wrapped around the situation. So what we do is we always try to find an area that, open or as flat as possible, where guys can pull, stop, we can get off, walk it, look at it. If it looks crazy and looks that it doesn't make a whole lot of sense, like big rocks and small little boulders are in the path of our line, that we're afraid we're going to get a front wheel hop or something like that could knock us off or make us crash our motorcycle, because the dual sport riding that we do is a little different than what a lot of guys do. And you'll have guys that do what we do, and then other guys do other things. They'll trailer their bikes and they'll ride completely with nothing. They don't have any gear, no tents, no nothing. Boy, we ride, we take everything. We take our tents, we take our sleeping bags, everything is geared up. So when we're passing through the areas that we're passing through because we have to get to a destination to get to our next camp. So we're a little heavier than other, and I'm not knocking the guys that get to do that. That's awesome if you can plan those trips. But usually we have a route that's somewhere between 1,000 and 2,000 miles. And it's A, B, C, D, all the way to wherever it ends up, So we have to make sure that, we can get our gear through. Because, we don't want to gear down and walk at a mile and then re-gear back up and take off. Now, not to say that hasn't happened. What I am saying is that is not the goal. So stop. If you can, be smart about it, and then pick your other buddies' brains as well. And between, not just one guy, don't have the one gung-ho guy that's, I've been riding for 500 years, bro, and I'm going to wheelie through this. No, be smart about it. You don't want to hurt yourself, because a lot of these places that you're at, you're going to be completely in the middle of nowhere, and you get hurt, man, you better have a spot or a sat phone or something that you can hit SOS to get your butt out of there, because you can get yourself in a pretty good situation. And it's better to be smart. Like I always say, man, ain't a big deal till it's a big deal. So stop, scout, evaluate, and stuff like that. And it's always better to pick your buddy's brains too, looking at it, and everybody, because the thing is everybody wants to pick the line. And picking the line is really key. So, and if you can get basically about 2-3 suggestions of going, okay, if you're going to go through here, what would you do? And then he'll go, okay, man, well, here's my thinking. I'm thinking that I'm going to go here, and then I'm going to cut here, and then I'm going to cut here, and that's going to open it up, and I think that's going to be less. But then you'll get another guy and go, well, I'm thinking about going here, going up here, and then rolling off here, and then it's going to straighten out. And then you kind of compare the two, and you're like, man, you know what? I liked his idea, but I really like his idea. I didn't even think of that. So that's kind of the key, getting your head wrapped around it and calming down. Because if you're new to this type of stuff, you can really get yourself in a mini panic situation. No rider wants to admit that they're in a small panic situation, but it happens. Guys won't admit it. It happens. Heck, it happens to me, and I've been riding a long time, and I still get mini panic situations. I just fight through them. And let me tell you why I fight through them. Because when I do these trips, as long as I can take my time and plan the situation as best as possible, get to the other side. To me, I call them mini victories in life, and they help me with other things, not just in motorcycles, but in everyday life as well. It's doing things and pushing myself where I normally wouldn't push myself, and getting to the goal, which is the other side of that scenario that puts you in that little adrenaline-packed, freak out. And when you get to that other side, man, and it is hard, but when you get there, man, you want to talk about your heart's racing. You thought, oh man, I was going to dump my bike and all these different things. Then it creates conversation between all the other bike and the riders, and everybody talks about, sorry about that. Everybody talks about their path they picked and what they did, and everybody's watching everybody, and nobody wants somebody to go down, but yet somebody wants somebody to go down, so they can give that guy a hard time. But when you make it through, I mean, it's like a victory, man. It's like you just conquered the world. And it feels so cool when you go through something that's hairy and freaks you out and you get to the other side. And it's all about preparation and planning and being smart about it. And that's what I'm talking about, is taking a little time to get your head wrapped around the situation and the scenario that you're in. Man, that's everything. So basically the moral to this podcast is take your time. Don't worry about what everybody else thinks about what you're doing and how you're handling your business. It's about you, because that guy is not you. And if you get hurt, it's not going to hurt him. So the moral to it is making sure that you're being safe and being smart about it, but plan it, because if you plan and be smart about it, you're going to be the dude that makes it through. And that is a big deal. And it'll be a big deal to you, because it will give you a lot of boost, a lot of confidence. As we like to say, I've done another video on it. It's called the Mojo. That's your mojo, man. When your mojo's on, you can create mojo. You can also create your mojo off too. And when your mojo's off, trust me, you know it. It just feels like nothing's going right. It feels like you're not picking the right line. You feel like you're going to crash at all times. But when that mojo's on, man, you just feel like you can conquer the world. But make sure you keep your mojo in check so that you don't get too crazy and too out of it to where you end up getting too much confidence that you hurt yourself. But that's it, man. Getting your head wrapped around stuff like that is really a big deal. And just slow down a little bit. See a little bit, because you're going to miss it if you don't. But be smart. Don't get yourself in a pickle. And pick your other buddy's brains to pick the best line so that you get to the other side. Anyway, that's today's podcast. Happy 4th of July to everybody. Don't forget 690 ADV. Go sign up. Be part of it. The giveaway will be announced tomorrow night at 9 p.m. on the Rant and Ride. And it's going to be a good one this time. So they're always good. But anyway, it's going to be a pretty cool giveaway. So thanks for stopping in. Don't forget, subscribe. Check out all of our podcasts. Check out all of our videos at 690 ADV at the youtube.com, and be part of it. Leave comments. And if you need any information, don't forget 690adv at gmail.com, and I'll do my best to get back to you as quick as I can and help you out in any way that I can. But that's it, man. Get your head wrapped around it. Slow down. Think about it. Conquer. I'm telling you, it'll change a lot of your stuff, not just in writing, but it'll change how things happen in your life as well. It will make things a whole lot better. That's it, man. So anyway, I appreciate your time. You guys have a great 4th of July. Be safe. Don't hurt yourself. Don't burn something down. Remember, always be smart about it. Get out, ride, find your adventure. Be safe. 690 out.